Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday. This is the podcast where we talk about horses and rescue with no BS. I'm your host, Steven.
And I'm Wendy.
And we're going to start this episode like we do all the others with a whiskey that we're drinking tonight. So I'll go first. I have Four Roses small batch, and this is a really nice Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. I love this. This is not a cheap bottle. And this was actually, I think, gifted to me. So love to bring this out. Thank you. You know who you are. And that's what I will be drinking tonight.
So I am drinking actually Penelope Architect straight bourbon whiskey. This was actually gifted to us by one of our volunteers. So thank you, Jen, very much. And this is actually the first time we've tried this. So this will be a little new.
Okay, awesome. So this is episode number 3, and cheers to 2 successful episodes and a third one on the way. And then we'll get right into it. I love the aftertaste of this Four Roses.
This is very smooth. I like this.
Yeah, I saw that this one is actually finished in French oak staves. So that gives that a bit of a unique flavor profile.
Got a nice flavor to it. Yeah, really good.
Awesome. All right, so for episode 3, why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be talking about tonight?
So tonight we're going to be talking about the myths surrounding rescue horses and the reason why a lot of people don't look at rescues to get their next horse or their next partner, and some of the myths that really are not true when it comes to rescue horses and some that maybe are true.
Awesome.
So one of the first things that we're going to talk about is the misconception that rescue horses are inherently flawed or damaged. And, you know, in truth, a lot of horses that do come to us do come out of bad situations sometimes. They've been neglected, starved. They haven't seen vets in a long time or farriers in a long time. But for the most part, a lot of these things are fixable. You know, once a horse gets on a regular routine of seeing a vet, they get their teeth done, they get their feet done. A lot of these problems that these horses come to us with can be solved. And then they end up, you know, being very good prospects for horses. So I think the idea that these horses are damaged and that, you know, that they're broken is not always true. Now, does that happen on occasion? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some horses that come to us that have severe health problems and severe injuries. For example, we had a beautiful paint mare. Her name was Ellie. Yep. Ellie came to us from an owner, but the owner had actually had her and kept her as a companion. But prior to that, Ellie had could have had a very good career as a hunter jumper.
Yeah.
And she was only about 5 years old, and she ended up suffering an injury. The injury was not diagnosed. The person that had Ellie was leasing her, and the person that was leasing her did not report the injury. The injury was not taken care of. And unfortunately, by the time the injury was discovered, damage had already been done. And Ellie, unfortunately, was not rideable and definitely not, you know, hunter jumper material anymore. So at a very, very young age of 5 years old, her career was done. But she was the sweetest mare and ended up being a companion to a mare that we had that was 34 years old. And the woman that had him had had them for over 15 years. Yeah. And they were her loves, her lives. And when she unfortunately passed away, her husband had asked us to take these 2 mares in. And Ellie walked with a very noticeable limp. And we had to be careful about monitoring her if she ran through the pastures too much because she would end up getting swollen and sore. So there were things like that. So she's an example of a horse that may have come to us with injuries where she wasn't going to be adoptable. But she was healthy. Yeah. She was happy. She lived a very long life with us. She passed a couple of years ago due to a severe colic. But you know, other than that, she was a great mare. But a lot of the other horses that come to us have no issues.
Yeah, and it really depends on how we get them. And so one of the first episodes, the very first episode that we did of Whiskey Wednesday, we covered some frequently asked questions that we get. And one of the questions was, where do we get our horses from? And we specifically, Freedom and Whiskey, we get our horses from a variety of places. But to Wendy's point, some of the horses come from an owner surrender because the owner's either passed away or is now unable to care for them. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the horse. It's just that the horse is about to end up in a bad situation. So us taking that horse is preventing that horse from ending up in
The slaughter pipeline.
a slaughter auction or a slaughter pipeline, or with an unfit owner who is just trying to prey on a cheap or a free horse, right? So it's like any animal. Not everything that is up for adoption is damaged or has problems. There are numerous horses that we've had that are absolutely perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, very rideable. Kaya, the Frisian that we have, the big black Frisian, is an absolutely lovely horse, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. Her owner passed away, and that's how we ended up with her. So it's really unfair to a lot of rescues, I think, that everything that we end up with is viewed through the lens of this thing is damaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
This thing is no good. This thing is broken. Because by and large, I would say probably more than half the time, that's really not the case at all.
Yeah, I mean, Kaya is a great example that you brought up. I mean, Kaya is 15, so she's a little on the older side, but she still has so much years to give still. But due to her owner's health issues, she wasn't trained. So even though she's been started under saddle, she's still considered green.
Yeah.
But for the right person, Kaya could end up being a fabulous horse. She just needs someone that's willing to put in a little bit of time and training with her. But she came to us with no health issues whatsoever. She's still incredibly healthy, incredibly sound. We have a young 3-year-old filly that came to us from a reservation herd dispersal. She is super sound, super fit. She's 3 years old, which means that she's at the perfect age to start training right now and to get under saddle. So for someone that's looking for a prospect horse, she'd be great. Again, she came to us with no health issues, nothing wrong, just needs an owner that can give her some time and training.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other things is that rescue horses are unadoptable. And I think we've kind of touched on this. I think that this can be both a true and a false, because I think it can be true because a lot of people will not, that are looking for their next horses, will not look at rescues because of the first myth, right, that they're broken, there's something wrong with them. And therefore, then a lot of horses that are in rescues do end up kind of not being adopted. So I think that's one of those things that can be both true and false. They can be adoptable, but people just don't look to us to come, to find their next partner.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the services that kind of goes unnoticed with a rescue, is that it really is up to the rescue to police and make that judgment call about the right fit for a horse. And, if you're looking for something that is, just out of the box perfect, and you're never going to need to do anything with it, and you can throw a saddle on it and ride it around, a couple times a month whenever you want, and you expect it to be perfect, I hate to break it to you, but horses aren't for you. No matter what horse we've had, no matter how broke, how sound, how amazing they are, horses need a leader. And, that's one of the things that we spend such a long time doing as we're vetting potential adopters for our horses, is we're trying to find the right personality fit. We're trying to match them with a horse that is at their level. Whether they're new to the horse game and they need somebody that will be a little bit easier. But the fact of the matter is you're going to have to put work in with a horse, no matter what you get. It is a perishable skill. And if you're not exercising, if you're not constantly working with that animal, it is going to regress. It's going to find bad habits. And so I think that's just one thing I'd like to point out, is that the rescue really has a very important job for rehoming or adopting an animal, and that is to be an advocate for the animal and to make sure that they're ending up in a good home. And you know, we have a very thorough process for that here. And this really, I think, helps ensure that our animals don't end up in another rescue at some point in the future.
And I think just personally, I kind of equate this to, you know, I have, we know people, we have friends that have very high end horses that they have shipped over from Europe, that they've paid mass amounts of money for. And you know, they're always telling us that, oh, the vet had to come out for this, or the vet had to come out for this. And I kind of equate it to that the designer dog, right? You know, I've had purebred dogs, and then I've had mutts that I've gotten from the pound, and hands down, the mutts were the ones that were better health wise than those purebred dogs that I had. And I kind of think horses sometimes can be the same way.
Sure.
You can get these high end, you know, horses that, you know, genetically are supposed to be superior, but they end up sometimes being these delicate little flowers that tend to have all of these problems. And yet, I think we've gotten lucky that our rescue horses that we've had have had so little health problems.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just we got lucky with the ones that we have, but our horses are in general so healthy. And we just haven't had those problems with them, where we have, you know, the friends that call us up and say, oh, the vet was out again today.
Yeah.
You know, there was something going on. So I think it all depends on your experience and what it is. But I think if more people took a look at rescues and kind of gave them a chance and an opportunity, they really could find some good quality horses.
Sure.
But I think it also depends on where you live. We live in Northern Virginia, and where we live in particular is kind of up in the area where it's a very high-end horse area. So I think most people out in this area are the ones that are kind of importing their horses in from Europe, and they're less likely to look at rescues, because again, I think their myth is that these horses are broken or damaged or not of quality enough to be in the show ring. But I think that if you go look at rescues websites, you can see a lot of before and after photos, where horses that people have taken a chance on have excelled and done great. Yeah. So one of the other ones is that if you do adopt from a rescue, that the horses are often free or dirt cheap. That's a huge myth. From a rescue's perspective, you have to look at how long we've had the horse, what training we've put into the horse, and overall what a fair market value is for that horse. So, and again, we're only talking about from our perspective, not what every rescue does. But we price our horses accordingly on really kind of what that fair market value is. For example, our Friesian is not going to be a $500 mare that you're going to adopt. Her price tag is priced appropriately, but I guarantee you that you're not going to find a registered Friesian mare for what we're asking for an adoption fee anywhere, especially with her bloodlines, her health, her registration, and the training that has been put into her. I think we've probably invested somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000, but her adoption fee is a fraction, a tiny little fraction of that amount. But in no means is she going to be dirt cheap or free. And part of the reason for that too is that we want to make sure that the people that are adopting these horses understand the cost, the responsibility, and just the, what it takes to have a horse. This is not a cheap sport, not a cheap hobby. And we want to make sure that people understand that if you're going to get a horse, not only do you have to have the money to adopt the horse, but also to care for the horse on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the most frustrating things we deal with is folks that reach out and are offended, actively offended,
Yeah.
when they hear a price that's, you know, more than $100, $500 for a purebred Frisian horse, you know, that is here on our farm, with an Olympian father and, you know, unbelievable bloodlines. But they're looking for, you know, a $500 horse to hack around in their paddock, and that's just, you know, that is not realistic for what we're doing here. And we realize that the investment that we make in some of these horses will never get back. But to Wendy's point, a person who only invests $500 or something like that, something minimal into a horse, I feel is maybe less likely to really grasp the full responsibility that comes with that. Or as our process has vetted out numerous times, is somebody that sees the value of a horse and is hoping that they can pick it up off of a rescue for $500 and then turn around and flip it for $6, $7, $8, $10,000, right? And there are people who build business models around exactly that. So we don't want that to happen. Again, we have contracts in place that prevent this. We ask a lot of very detailed questions to suss that behavior out. And we've had numerous people who show up here and, you know, just ask, you know, you guys care if I turn around and sell her again? Or, you know, if you're only asking 500 for her, I'll take her home tonight, you know, things like that, trying to skirt the checks and all of the other processes that we have in place to prevent that behavior. We are trying to find the best home and the best situation for the horses that are in our care. And again, our primary goal is that they don't end up back in a rescue, whether it's ours or anybody else's ever again, right? Obviously, you can't control for every variable, but that is the due diligence that we put in. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. But we have a really good track record. We have made some really good friends who were novices and are now, you know, on their second or third horse because they took it seriously, you know, and they were the right people at the right time for the right horse that we had on our property.
And I think that goes to the last point, which is we've heard some feedback from people that say that rescues often make the adoption process complicated. And I'm okay with that. I mean, quite frankly, yeah, I'm okay with that. Some of these horses have come out of situations that are not great. And the last thing that we want to see are these horses ending up in a bad situation. So we vet, and we vet hard.
Yeah.
We go out and do site inspections. We do, you know, law enforcement background investigations. We want to make sure that there's no, you know, pending lawsuits or animal neglect or abuse charges against you. And we want to, you know, we're going to make sure that we check into all of that, because the last thing that we want to do is take a horse that we've invested so much time and energy and money into getting healthy and sound and adoptable, and then have them turn into a bad situation. So is the adoption process complicated? Can it take some time? Yeah, it can. But I guarantee you that if you get a horse from a rescue, that horse has been through extensive vet care, farrier care, dental care. When we turn horses over to new owners, we give an extensive digital file that has all of their veterinarian records, all of their farrier records, all of their dental records, because we are going to be 100% transparent about everything that has transpired with that horse, and want to make sure that you have the information that you need in order to adopt this horse. So one of the things in our contract is we have a no breed, no sale contract, which means that you cannot breed the mares, so they can't be brood mares. And two, you can't just turn around and flip them, to your point. We've had a lot of people inquire about our young filly Star, who is 3 years old. She's a beautiful little bay with black socks. And we've had a lot of inquiries about her, but everyone that inquires about her wants to put in 60 days of training and then flip her for sale. And that's just not something that we're willing to do. So if that means that she stays with us a little bit longer, okay, that's what we'll do. Because we want to make sure that she's going to go to the right home with the right people and that she's going to be safe. So can the process of adopting be a little bit more lengthy? Yes. I mean, I think that that's true, but it's there for a reason.
Yeah, and we're really trying to protect the horse as much as we're trying to protect the new owners as well, by making sure that we're doing the due diligence. And I would say that if you're working with a rescue that isn't doing any of these checks, that hasn't come to look at your property, you know, those can be red flags. I'm not saying they are always, but they can be, because, you know, we do take this extremely seriously, and it's worth the time, it's worth the effort to make sure that you are getting the right horse for your situation.
Yeah. And we also, in our contract, if for any reason this horse isn't working out for you, we'll take him back.
Yeah.
So there, you know, we want to make sure that the horse is going to be safe at all times. So if for any reason that horse isn't working out for you, they can come back to us, no questions asked. And that can be at any time. That can be 6 months down the road. It can be a year down the road. So it's our concern is the safety of the horse. We are coming up on a 1-year anniversary of our colt. His name was Ghost, but his new name is Augie. And we are coming up on our 1-year anniversary of Augie being adopted. So we're making plans to go out and see him, and do our 1-year site inspection and see how he's doing, which is kind of neat because, you know, his owner has been kind of keeping me up to date and sending me pictures and kind of telling me what's been going on with him. But it'll be really nice to go out and see him and see how he's progressed. He was also a reservation horse that came in with Star. So he was very young when he came in. And I'm just looking forward to going out and seeing him and seeing how he's progressed.
Yeah.
And it's a great example of a horse where, you know, healthy, sound, no health issues, young, viable, very adoptable, just needed somebody to take a chance on him.
Yeah. So we'll post a video of that when we go do our check. And for any of you who are new to the channel and didn't have a chance to see Ghost before, he's a beautiful dapple gray coat.
Yeah.
And so we'll post a video of that. We'll bring you along with us and show you exactly what a 1-year checkup looks like and what a very well-adjusted, great horse in a great situation looks like. And this, all came out of a rescue. So hopefully this was informative. I hope that, if you heard something today that you hold as a truth that we were able to dispel or that we were able to shed some light on, we ultimately hope that you took something away from this. If you have a comment, if you have a thought in here, if you have an experience that you'd like to share, like and subscribe to our channel here. Drop something down in the comments. We love seeing your comments. You guys have been really supportive. As always, as well, if there's a whiskey or a bourbon or something you'd like us to try or something that's your favorite, drop that down in the comments as well. And, if we have an opportunity to, we'll pick a bottle up and we'll try it here on the channel with everybody else. So this is our 3rd episode. I think this was fantastic. Thank you everybody for tuning in and sticking with us through 3 episodes. Here's to many more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers and
Cheers.
stay cool.